Welcome to The Crossover, thanks to the Sydney Kings. Grab your Sydney Kings tickets today at Ticketek.
Yes. There you go. All excited about some new programming here on SEN. We do it with our great partners. And, of course, as you heard there, the back-to-back champions, the NBL champs. Chris Pongrass is the CEO of the Sydney Kings and the Sydney Flames and Hoops Capital.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you. Great to have you on the program. Great to have the Kings as part of our programming over the course of this season on Thursday. So, very good. They roll out the big guns first up, right?
I was just saying, I'm a light touch. Everyone wants to hear from the coach and the players. So, let's roll me out. Let's get the administrative stuff out of the way first, and then you can hear from the important people.
There's a lot to discuss around, what happened with the back-to-back championships, putting together a new squad and what's going to happen. But let's start there. Mahmoud Abdul-Fader. We spoke to him once. He was on the line. We did a Zoom call with him. It was 7 o'clock in the morning, and he was over in Houston. Yeah. Is there a more positive person on the planet? How's he fitting into the Sydney Kings setup?
Great question. I don't think there's a more positive person than Mahmoud. He brings a lot of life, a lot of energy. Doesn't drink coffee, and he's up early.
Wow.
And works hard. Just, it's insane, his workload, and just more positive about everything.
Yeah.
When things, we've had some niggles of practice or some things go wrong, and first thing, it's God bless, God has a plan, and it's just straight on to the next thing. So he doesn't dwell on things, and he's been fitting in really well. Guys are, very receptive to, all of the new things. And it's tough for a new team, again, a team that we've had a lot of continuity with this roster the last year where, they're learning a lot of new systems, his systems, offensive, defense. And so the way he likes to run things and the way he likes to call things. So I think it's players adapting, and that's why I think it's important to have such a long uninterrupted preseason and roll into the season strong, but he's fitting in really well. Did
I see that he's just put his hand up to do some stuff with some of the rookie guys? Just, I'll help out there. Is that right?
The other day? Yeah. He had to do a promotional event out at Hoops Capital East in Moore Park. And then there was one of our academy camps had been postponed. And so there were some of the kids just didn't get the memo, or the parents didn't get the memo. And so they turned up. And he was there, and he just said, I'm not going to leave anyone hanging. So he went out in his dress shoes and got on the court and ran them through a 45-minute session, And so for these kids, 8 and 10-year-olds that are getting trained by a professional head coach, it's, they were thrilled. And our players were there as well. Got to see Jalen Adams and Denzel Valentine and Ace Glover. So, but that's just the type of guy he is. He said to me straight away, he just said, I was a kid once. I was in that position once. Yeah. So he just doesn't think twice, and he's looks after people. That's
funny because I saw the photo and I thought, oh, look at the shoes. They're the black. He's got the black.
No,
just the dress shoes. I love it. Mate. I love it. Hey, I'm going to make this statement, and probably easy for you to agree with, but I would suggest the rise of the NBL and what we've seen over the last few years is directly correlated to the rise of the Sydney Kings. And one of the reasons I say that is you're talking about a very popular team within an emerging sport in the biggest market in the country. And it's a standalone team. So do you think I've taken it a stretch too far there?
I don't want to take any credit for it because I think it might have started before I got here. But I do think a turning point in the league is Andrew Bogut's arrival, which ties into Sydney, obviously. But Andrew's arrival into the league in 2018, I think that set precedent for big-name players, returning players, NBA players to be able to say, okay, this is the league that's growing and improving. And this was a year before I got here. But the success, obviously, we've seen success over the last 4 or 5 years. And, I think we've started to understand where we want to take this team and bring into the Flames into the fold, I think is really important. Development of Hoops Capital and academy and facilities. But, Paul Smith said it from the start is Sydney is a winning town. There's 25 other professional sports in the city. And so in order to be successful here, you've got to perform, you've got to win. And I think that helps the league, especially, you're right, in a big market, to have a winning team's important. So for Melbourne's, for the Perths, for the Sydneys, it's always important to build a fan base, but to be successful. So, I think the league's done a phenomenal job in their development over the last, 5 to 10 years. But I do think that Andrew's arrival into the league just definitely kind of spearheaded the Kings into, success.
Season memberships sold out?
Sold out. Partials available still.
Right, 3-game memberships available, but just. So there was a time when Kudos Bank Arena was seen as a negative, right? Oh, it's too big and we can't fill it. That's not the case right now, Chris.
It's not. We've got an unbelievable ticketing and membership team and marketing team to be able to get there. And no, I think that we've sold the 3 most highest selling ticketed games and attended games in NBL history in the last 4 years, right? It was Illawarra when LaMelo Ball was playing, and we didn't think that we'd capture that. And we broke that record in Grand Final Game 3 and then Grand Final Game 5 of last year. And it's kind of remarkable to see 18,000 fans to show up on a Wednesday night.
Yes.
I think that's a testament to, the growth of the club, the success, the on-court entertainment. But, yeah, it's great to see Sydney getting around basketball. I think that's just the growth and development of the game, the NBA and the success that, and desire of participation, growth, at a young age, and we're seeing the benefit of that. But it's an entertaining sport, not affected by weather.
Yep.
Great time. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's a family event. So
yes,
I think families are starting to get around it, but it's been consistent now. The success of the team over the last 5 years, I think they know that we want to build a winning program, a championship contender each year. So it's exciting to be able to come and see a successful team to chase the championship.
Who's charged with the responsibility of putting the squad together?
A lot of people actually.
Right.
Falls to me ultimately. Right. But I work very closely with the head coach. So Mahmood and I this year, I think I'm more of a vessel in terms of being able to put a group of guys on the floor that's in the eyes of the head coach.
Yep.
So I'd never want to put a team together that the head coach disagrees with or doesn't like or just doesn't fit his system. So I think buy-in and endorsement of every player from the head coach is vital. But, we've got great people in our business, right? So Luke Longley is vital in that process. Andrew Bogut. We've got people who have far more extensive experience in basketball than I do. And I think taking ex-players and their view on the game, they've got a different perception of players and fit of guys, chemistry, on-court, off-court. And we've got a great network. Bogues talks to a lot of people. And so when we're looking at imports, for example, Andrew's connections over in the NBA and his relationships really help us gather intel. So there's a lot of people and ownership are involved. We talk to them about the strategy prior to coming into free agency, and then, they sign off on a scenario budget of how we want to structure our year, and then we go out, but they're involved along the way in terms of signing off on each player signing that we make. But it's very much the head coach has deep involvement with myself, Luke, and ownership.
Because I didn't want to put too much pressure on you, Chris. However, Xavier Cooks is a league MVP, a finals MVP, now in the NBA, did so well for the Boomers over there at the FIBA World Cup. But here's the other thing about Xavier, and that is that I reckon 2 out of every 3 fans that had a Sydney Kings singlet walking around Kudos Bank Arena last season had number 10 Cooks on the back of it. How do you replace that?
I don't think you can replace someone like Zave.
Right.
For what he did, on the court, but he was just such an enjoyable player to watch. But he was MVP for a reason. He was Grand Finals MVP the previous year. I think, we said it every year. For him, we were building a team around him every year, complementing players that fit his skill and his deficits, and then involving him in that process, talking to him about players that would fit around him. And I think that's important as well. So you don't replace someone like Zave. I think you just have to structure it differently. So, we built around locals the last couple of years around Xavier and then structured our imports accordingly.
Yep.
And same with our other local signings. But this year is different. So we have a new head coach, a brand new starting 5. And what does that look like? I think, in how we structured our free agency period, we focused around imports primarily. Yep. So we built around DJ Hogue initially, Jalen Adams, Denzel, but Jonah came into the mix, right? Alex Tui, I wouldn't say fell into our lap because we were active in it, but his desire to come here, I think, was based on Mahmood and the other players that we'd signed. So it's a puzzle, honestly. Each year, it's jumbled at the start, and then every puzzle piece that goes in, it starts to get clearer and clearer about how the remaining players that you need to sign. But yeah, you don't replace someone like Xavier Cooks. You just structure it differently and recover. And I think we've done pretty well with the guys we've signed this year.
You mentioned Uncle Paul Smith said Sydney loves a winner, right? That's what I call Paul. The Flames.
Yes.
So how do we find some positives? Are we confident that this Flame squad is going to have a bigger impact on NBLW this season than previous?
100%.
Right.
It was much of a reset this year. I think we've got a number of returning players, but we had a largely blank slate coming into the free agency period. We had a couple of players signed, and for us, it was we want to build around locals. So this is the opposite of what we did with the Kings. This was a squad where we had to build around Australian talent, because I think in the WNBL and what I've found over the last couple of years is imports are a complement to, the Opals are one of the best teams in the world, and I think we've got some of the best players in the world. So signing someone like Kayla George and Tess Madgen and Lauren Nicholson, Shanice Swain, it was let's go after the biggest names and keep them around for an extended period. Another thing for me, a challenge, and what I witnessed is in the WNBL, there's a lot of one-year contracts. It was just kind of a revolving door across the league. It wasn't just us; it was everywhere. And so I trying to get my head around players that wanted to stay for an extended period of time and build some continuity, because I just hate, you just start fresh every year. And so Tess and Kayla and Shanice and Lauren all signing multi-year deals. It's going to make next year much easier, but also I think for our fans to be able to connect with the players, they know that they're here for 2 to 3 years, if not longer. And, Kayla's the reigning MVP, and Lauren Nicholson, a returning New South Wales player. Tess Madgen, captain of the Opal. Shanice Swain, drafted by the LA Sparks in their WNBA draft. I mean, I think we've honestly got 4 of the best Australian players in the league, and then we look to complement that with the imports that we sign, but then also bring, Kira Rowe back on a multi-year deal, and Emma Clark's returning, Vanessa Panousis returning, and then bringing, Lara McSpadden down from championship in Townsville. I mean, that was important to us, is trying to bring some New South Wales local talent back. But for us, it was just focused on let's get the best Australian talent in. And I truly believe that this Flame squad can flip it around and go from, near the bottom of the table to a championship contender. And again, Sydney loves winners.
Yeah, absolutely. Sydney Kings CEO Chris Pongrass, our special guest today. Remember, if you want to get your Sydney Kings tickets, do it at Ticketek. They're just $20 at Ticketek. So fill the stadium. That first game is the unfurling of the championship flag, right?
Championship banner. We've got ring presentation as well. It's a great event. It's something really special to be part of history, to be able to watch that banner unfurl, and it's up there, for the rest of the time.
Championship number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5. There you go. How do you get your ring to Zave? What do you do with that?
Post it out to him.
Nice.
Post it out to him.
Nice.
Same with our imports. We've got Derek playing in China. We've got Tim playing in Japan. We've got Justin over in Israel. DJ and Zave over in Washington. So yeah, couple of FedEx packages out, and they should be good to go.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to get ourselves to a break. You're listening to The Crossover with the Sydney Kings and the Sydney Flame CEO, Chris Pongrass. We will take that break. If you want to ask a question, do it. 0457 736 736. We'll be back shortly. Hey, welcome back to the program. It's The Crossover. Sydney Kings, Sydney Flames. We're here with the CEO, Chris Pongrass. Remember, get your Sydney Kings tickets, just $20. We're talking about the game day experience. It's fantastic. I've taken the kids out there a few times. They jump around everywhere. They absolutely love it. Question from Peaches. Don't worry about it. All the listeners, Chris. Excited Kings fan here. Love the game day experience and the crowd interaction. How's Jonah Bolden shaping up after his time off playing with cryptocurrency? Do we expect him to start at centre and play major minutes when he's fit, similar to Cooks? That's from Peaches.
Thanks, Peaches. Look, I think Jonah's shaping up really well. He's had a great off-season. It's a slow burn. I think that was one thing that we said bringing him in, is just making sure we're not overdoing it early. And so I think it's going to be something that grows over time. And so he's going to be playing minutes at the 5, minutes at the 4. I think Mood likes to play different lineups, but between him and Geordie, I think we're definitely covered. And Quat's had a great off-season as well. So
one guy we spoke to, Denzel Valentine, great pedigree out of the NBA, may or may not be the coolest person that's ever walked the planet. How's he fitting in?
Oh, great. Denzel's a great dude, great teammate, fitting in really well. And, yeah, I think he's going to be really tough to guard in this league.
Right. Alex Tui was a young guy that has a little bit of hype around. Tell us more about him. Did he say no to Gonzaga?
He did. He did. He was off to Gonzaga, and then we luckily pulled him away right before he left. But he's part of the Next Stars program,
right?
And someone who we do think's an NBA player in 12, 24 months' time. And he's really coming along well. He's still growing. He's 19 years old, and someone who we're really high on. So I think he's going to play a major role for us. But yeah, he's a great kid, great head on his shoulders, and I truly think that's one to watch for Kings fans for this year.
And
Mr. Tui.
Jalen Adams, we had him on the other, another very cool person walking the planet, but that's like an old glove, right? Jalen coming back, the MVP.
Oh, fan favourite.
Yeah.
It's like he never left. He walked straight in. He's embraced by everyone, and he's beloved, Jalen. We love him here, but watching him again in this preseason, for us, it's just going to be staying healthy. If we're healthy throughout the year, I think we're really going to contend. But JA hasn't lost a step. So Kings fans, again, if there's one to be excited about, JA is coming in that form that he was at MVP level 2 years ago.
Thank you so much for coming. It flies, doesn't it? Just goes like that.
I got a little gift for you before we leave.
Oh, wow.
We got some personalised jerseys, actually.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. I'm wearing this on the train on the way home this afternoon. Here we go. Oh, thank you.
Let's unfurl it.
You haven't got one for Coach K? Oh, man, he'll never take that off. That is so exciting for him. It's ridiculous.
He's not in here, though.
No, we'll give it to him
afterwards.
Chris, we've got to fly.
Here you go.
Thank you, mate. And we'll have a Kings player, Flames player on regularly on a Thursday. Break and back to wrap things up.